with the Lakers and the Phoenix Suns. We have to start there. And CP3 says he's back. He says, hey, Monty Williams, why don't you take a seat on the bench where you're supposed to be as the coach? Play me in this ball game. And he did that. He nixed Monty Williams' decision. And boy, was that a good one, because the Phoenix Suns needed all of Chris Paul and his shoulders, however healthy or not healthy they were. They collected a huge road win to even up this series 2-2 against the Lakers, winning 100-92. And this is the thing. We knew Chris Paul's impact was profound on this Phoenix Suns team. I, for one, had him as a top 5 MVP candidate this year. And that says a lot, given not only his stature, not only his age, but again, the impact that he has had from every single franchise that he's gone to. There's no question Chris Paul is a transcendent talent, and more importantly, a transcendent leader. The way that he orchestrates this offense, this Phoenix Suns team, their offense was a completely different team with him on the floor. The way he was orchestrating the offense and engineering different buckets and passes. Jay Crowder dropped 17. DeAndre Ayton, 14 points, 17 rebounds. But Chris Paul with 18 points and 9 assists. He was that calming presence that the Phoenix Suns needed, and clearly they play much more confidently with him on the floor than without him. Again, they're a different team with him than they are without him. And I don't want to take away any of his heroics or any of the leadership that he displayed, because the Phoenix Suns, the bottom line is they're a young team. They needed to win this game to keep this season alive for them, this series alive, and they did that. And mad credit to them for accomplishing that road feat. But this is the reality. Let's be honest. If you were watching that game, if Anthony Davis doesn't get injured, the Lakers go up 3-1 and they win this game. I'm sorry. That's the reality. That's the truth. Because in the 2 previous games that Anthony Davis played, he drops 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks a game. And they win both of those games. So now you've got a tie series 2-2. You also have Anthony Davis, who suffered a groin strain. That's a couple days after he sprained his left knee, about a month removed from returning from a major Achilles injury and another calf strain. And this is the knock on AD. He's just a bit brittle and fragile. And I love Anthony Davis as a talent, but as an NBA fan, watching him play every single time he falls onto the court, falls to the floor, I'm holding my breath, knocking on wood. I have some wood around me. I knock on wood and pray that this isn't a major career-ending injury, because that's the reaction that you have every single time you watch Anthony Davis fall to the floor and crumble to the ground. And so that's been the difference in these 2 games, is that I appreciate the hell out of Anthony Davis for laboring through injuries, especially since he has joined the Lakers and since he's joined LeBron. And I think that that's a big influence, is LeBron's influence on playing through injuries. But at the same time, this is kind of the reality of Anthony Davis, is he's always seemingly battling through little nicks and knacks and injuries. He's never 100% healthy. And you add on top of that, KCP missed the entire game due to a hyperextended leg injury that he sustained in Game 3. And these are some major absences. And of course, right on cue to start the third quarter, that's when Phoenix pulled away. It's as if the Lakers got the notification Anthony Davis is out for the remainder of the game, and then stopped playing basketball for the first 5 or so minutes of the third quarter. And that's when Phoenix extended their lead to 14. They held the Lakers to 15 points on 3 of 16 shooting in the third quarter. In the third quarter, the Lakers scored 15 points barely. So neither team has shot particularly well in this series as a whole. We know that. And I think a lot of the credit has to go to both teams' defensive plans. But unfortunately, this series will be defined by injuries on both sides. Obviously, Chris Paul laboring through his own shoulder injuries, the Lakers having their own litany of injuries, and really a spate of injuries all happening very quickly. Again, Anthony Davis gone for the second half, will likely Now that it was listed, they listed him as day-to-day, but they said he suffered a grade 1 groin strain. He will likely miss game 5, and even if he plays in game 6 or game 7, if it potentially goes to that, he won't be near 100%. KCP missed the entire game. That's just, and then LeBron James, of course, you forget he's recovering from a high ankle sprain. This is LeBron James in year 18, age 36, having to carry the load, and that's the big takeaway here. This is LeBron's time. We've been waiting for it. We've been delaying it. We've been postponing it. We've been hoping that, quite frankly, he didn't have to muster that type of performance up this early in the first round, but it's come to that. That's the thing, is LeBron hasn't been required up until this point in the series to take over. And it is right now LeBron's time to take over. He said it's time for him to take over. That's what these shoulders are built for. Heavy's the head that wears the crown. This is who LeBron is. And to whom much is given, much is required. He understands that. But the difference was LeBron hadn't had to exert that much energy and summon up those types of performances yet. We've yet to see one of those LeBron-type games of 35 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, shooting 60% from the floor. We haven't seen one of those because he hasn't needed to summon up one of those performances. He still dropped 25 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists yesterday. And he had some incredible highlight dunks. That alley-oop off the backboard from Alex Caruso showed a little brief snapshot and snippet of LeBron's athleticism that he still has, that he, again, had been reticent to show up until this point. But when I look at the Lakers, here's the only good news if you're the Lakers. You can still rely on your defense, even without Anthony Davis, to collect some wins here. The Lakers have had the number 1 defense in the NBA all season, and I think that even without Anthony Davis for this series, again, not a championship, but for this series, LeBron can still carry you combined with the defense, but it has to be everything. You have to have the defense, and you have to have LeBron playing at an extremely high level. Schroeder can't give you 8 points. No other starter scored in double figures in this game. No other starter outside of LeBron. Kuzma's been hot and cold. Yes, I know it technically said he dropped 11 points. That's not nearly enough, and his usage will have to increase, especially given the absence of Anthony Davis. So this is a really good Phoenix Suns team, and more importantly, a really deep Phoenix Suns team that they're showing. They aren't afraid to challenge the Lakers. This is not a team that is scared. They didn't feel scared coming into Staples Center. I would say that they were a little bit overwhelmed at the end of Game 3 with both Anthony Davis and LeBron out on the floor, asserting their dominance. I could tell they were a little bit overwhelmed without Chris Paul, but that was their first road playoff game. I think those jitters are over. And now you look at this Phoenix Suns team, you're going back to Phoenix, and you won by 8 points on the road, which, again, that's big, but that was without Anthony Davis in the second half, without KCP, who's the primary ball handler, ball defender against either Booker or Payne or Chris Paul. And I just think that right now, this series is teetering. It's really just about which team will be healthier or healthy enough by the end of the series. Because what we know is championships so often rely on good health, just good fortune. Are you fortunate enough to have good health? That's what we saw last year in the bubble. And the Lakers have just been decimated by injuries this whole season. Just absolutely decimated by injuries this entire season, and now it sets up a pivotal Game 5 on the road in Phoenix that I think will just be an all-time gutsy, gritty performance by both teams. I think both teams will come out with that desire and with that passion. It's just about execution. Will the magnitude of that moment in game 5 at Phoenix, will it swell up and consume and engulf the Lakers, or will it engulf the Suns? And now again, it's just been a dogfight. And now potentially 2 of the last 3 games could be played in Phoenix. Can't wait to see what happens, but both teams need to be healthy, and this is just, again, bad news if you're the Lakers to lose Anthony Davis, but you still have enough, in my opinion, to finish the job, but we'll see.